Hey there, this is Susan with Colorful Expressions. Today is the prompt number 13, Altered Book Page and Blackout Poetry of Dephemerember. Dephemerember is a yearly challenge hosted by Louise Heinzel and Barbara of 49 Dragonflies. We make ephemera for our junk journals every day for the month of December. Now today's prompt is Altered Book Pages and Blackout Poetry. Blackout poetry is when you find words, pull words out of a block of text and circle them and make your own poetry. For example, this one that I got started on last night, this is the opera The Dutchman, and I pulled out words about a singing and dreaming sailor. View of the sea, singing, look over the landscape, seating himself, resumes his singing. The ship glides, hums a few bars of his song. Is driven, phrases of his song, falling asleep, he sees an echo of his travels. And then I drew sloppily a boat in the background. I'm thinking of, in the Blackout, we'll actually paint over this. And then, and I already glued this down because I had to start my video over, but I had a small one that reminded me of German fairy tales. A forest glade, the huntsmen sing the joys of the chase. And I had this little gel print on, this is a magazine page, and then I went ahead and painted the back side of it as well. And I wanted to make a little booklet of it and tell the story of the huntsman. And I had some ephemera lying around. Here's a very stylized female in riding clothes and boots, sort of like the British style hunting. Here's a stag, a very stylized stag. And then here's our huntsman. He came from a French book that I have, and he's hunkered down in a cave with mushrooms, and he doesn't look very happy. But we're going to make him happy so that he can go back and party with his friends. This little poem reminds me of the Deer Camp song, where they're progressively getting more and more drunk and don't kill any deer. So blackout poetry, you find your words, and then you black out the rest of the text so that only those words stand out. Like this. And then we'll somehow obscure the rest of the words. And the reason I chose this one was the huntsman is a really big theme in German fairy tales. And my German grandmother used to read me out of Brothers Grimm, the original stories, not the Disney-fied, sanitized version. They were definitely pretty grim, but they weren't children's stories. They were lessons, lessons on don't trust your strangers, you know, and things like that. And I'm going to make it into a little book. And on the cover, I wanted to use my old fragile book pages and make a frame. So I'd already torn this, and then I'm going to do the other side. Let's see here. I don't want the title page though. I want blank, not the vendetta and page number. And this is, you can see I've used this a lot. Whoop. Sometimes it's easy to turn. There we go. So I want this edge right here. this week's prompts look like a lot of fun. I'm going to be pulling out my art journals, and we'll be working in those as opposed to junk journaling, because I really like the prompts. Let me get all this stuff out of my way. Okay. And actually, I'm going to use my matte medium for this, just to make it stronger. Let's see. Put a 1/4 inch down from the top. And forests and huntsmen and the forest glade, that just speaks to my, when I was in Germany, we were in American quarters, but we were right up against a great big section of woods. And I spent my entire childhood, kind of Gen X style, no supervision whatsoever childhood, going through those woods over and over and over again. I loved them. I'm going to leave a little bit of space to see the green. And my mother said, you know, the woods are the best place to be as a little kid. So she had absolutely no problem with it. That's how she grew up. Of course, she grew up in the 40s and 50s. And they didn't have much supervision back then either, because their parents were busy working. All right. Let's push that in a little. Well, it's down already. Okay. I did a little bit of prep work for this, just to, so that the video wouldn't be so long. And I have, where did I put it? Somewhere. Ah. So the title of our little book is A Forest Glade. So I stamped these out. Okay, if you're going to tilt something, tilt it to where it's obvious. Otherwise, it just looks sloppy. Pro tip. Do that one. All right. And I have some tree stickers and other things I'll put to the cover. This needs to dry. Matter of fact, I'm going to get a piece of wax paper for underneath it. That way I can use it. This poor little piece is so delicate. The magazine paper is super thin. All right. So I found this little huntsman. And he's going to go down right here. I'm going to black out at the very end. And I'm not sure what width yet. Go ahead and protect this. And then the woman will go on the back cover with her stag. Where'd she go? Ah. I think this is more art journaling than junk. More collage and assembly. And then we're telling a story. Now this thing needs to dry. So I'll be back in a little bit. My little booklet is dry now. And we're going to decorate. I'll start with the cover. I pulled out my oil pastels. And we'll see what we can do here. And I'll have to spray this with fixative when it's finished so that it's less sticky. But I kind of like the idea of a hand-drawn look. I also had to re-stamp the Forest Glade because it faded into the paper. I'm not going to, and I used archival. I thought that that ink was archival, but apparently not. So, and I have some stickers here. I'm looking for my acorns. Here we go. Scatter some acorns around. And I won't stick them on top of the oil pastel. And then maybe one little pine cone. There we go. Now on the inside, get out my Sharpie pen, my thicker one, and do a little more blacking out. I'm not going to color the whole thing with Sharpie. I'm just darkening around my words a little bit more. I really was at a loss as to what to do. And I think I will use my oil pastels again to cover up the rest of the text. Louise Heisel this morning used a gold pen that looked really nice. Her page looked gorgeous. You need to go look at it. She always does everything so artistically in a junk journal. It's gorgeous. All right. So now first, though, I want a tree. Oops. And I don't want it to be well, that doesn't show up at all, does it? Oh well. We can outline it. Got a blackout tree on top of a blackout poetry. I wish I knew where my Stabilo pencil was, because then I would give it some faded out edging. It's probably hiding in my pencil box that has all of my just art pencils in it. I never really used it much, but now I probably end up using it more. There we go. Now I can see the tree. We're going to do some shades of green and brown. Mostly darker. Oh, that blends right into the background. I like it. It's camo. Actually, let's green up our hunter a little bit, because that blue background's sticking out quite a lot. Okay. A forest glade, the huntsmen sing the joys of the chase. And it's officially blacked out. Or in this case, camoed out. Let's see. I managed to get my seals unstuck. They were all stuck together. And I wanted to use this seal of quail, which are common hunting subjects, but I wanted just the quail, and I'm not sure if tearing would be a good idea, but we can try. Yeah, tearing's working okay. In Germany, hunting is highly regulated. You pay for everything, including keeping the meat. The meat usually goes into the restaurant trade unless you pay extra. Now, this was how it was back in the 70s when a friend of the family hunted. He explained how it went. I'm sure it's probably similar, because there's not a lot of wildlife left after thousands of years. Let's see here. I'm gonna put it down. Whoops, come on, move over. Here we go. So, you know, they would charge for the antlers, they would charge for the whole head, they would charge for the meat, and there was probably different meats that you could get. And I think this won't show up. Let's do brown. Sort of a dark olive green, actually. How it works. You can tell my surface is real irregular from all the glue. Let's do our third leaf right here by himself. All right. Let's see, I think there's enough going on. Should we do some leaf stickers? These are darker. These will work. Like I said, I'm trying to make myself use my stickers because they're just sitting there. And I want I want the box that they're sitting in so that I can store something else. So I'm trying to use up all of my stickers. So here we go. Altered book page and Blackout poetry. We used a book page for the cover. We used a magazine page for the booklet. And we used a book page for our poetry. And this is it. This is Dephemerember, prompt number 13. And if you were wondering, prompt number 12, I got sick again, and my project for the 12th prompt just fell apart, and I decided to basically bless it and release it. And I did not make prompt number 12. But we're moving on to Altered Book Page and Blackout Poetry. The next prompt, very fun, and you can see I've got paint on my hands because I've been preparing for it. Photo frame and steampunk butterfly. And then on Christmas, double tag and mechanical garden. More steampunk. And then 26, collaged postcard and curiosity shop, which I'm going to manage to make steampunk as well. So I'll be working in my art journal, the bigger one, because these are going to be fun. So stay tuned for the end of Dephemerember coming up, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.